This is the story of a man known as Bagman. He's human, but his appearance is ghostly. His chilling habit is kidnapping children, and he's called Bagman because he forces them into his bag, sealing them inside. Once he captures a child, they meet a tragic fate. In this tale, Bagman is after a young girl. Will her family be able to save her, or will she become yet another victim of Bagman's evil? The story begins with a father and his daughter playing together, but the girl seems uneasy. Her father notices and asks if something is wrong. She confesses she's troubled by something from her past, but hopes time will help. The father reassures her and promises to bring pizza to cheer her up. As the girl heads towards the car, the lights flicker and then go out completely, causing her to feel even more frightened. With her father still missing, she decides to go to the restaurant where he went for the pizza. When she arrives, the hotel is eerily empty. To her horror, she finds her father lying motionless on the floor, severely injured and unable to move. Before she can process what's happening, Bagman appears, grabs her, and forces her into his bag, sealing her fate. 4 years later, we meet a family led by Patrick, who lives with his wife Karina and their young son. The family's life is filled with joy until one day, Patrick's brother and his wife visit. Patrick shows his brother a new machine he's built that can cut trees more efficiently, saving both time and money. Patrick's brother is impressed, praising the invention. That night, as the family says goodbye to their visitors, Patrick notices strange behavior with the lights and hears odd noises from the nearby woods. He checks, but finds nothing, leaving him unsettled. The following morning, Patrick and his brother are at their company where they reflect on their late father's legacy. Patrick's brother mentions how he's been haunted by bad dreams since their father's death. Patrick begins to recall his childhood. He remembers a cave near his brother's property where strange things happened. One day, while near the cave, a man with scissors appeared, frightening young Patrick. But when Patrick tried to tell his father warned him that Bagman, a creature who kidnaps children, lurked in the cave. His father's warning always stayed with him. Meanwhile, at home, Karina is distracted by work when her son wanders into the jungle, following a doll. When she realizes he's missing, she frantically searches and eventually finds him safe. As she brings him back, she realizes how careless she was to leave him alone. That evening, Patrick is working at his desk when he hears strange noises from his son's room. His son tells him he was talking to a doll, but when Patrick checks, the doll is nowhere to be found. Concerned, Patrick puts his son to bed, but the strange occurrences don't stop. The lights flicker again, and Patrick grows increasingly uneasy. He checks the forest outside his window, convinced someone is watching. Later, after another unsettling event, Patrick and Karina decide to take action, calling the police. The officers investigate, but nothing unusual is found, until they discover pieces of wood on the roof, that which Patrick swears he had thrown away. The police officer warns him to stay vigilant and keeps the pieces as evidence. The next day, Patrick finds a wooden owl, one he carved as a child, mysteriously back in his home. He doesn't understand how it got there and grows more distressed when he realizes his childhood knife, which he had thrown away in anger, is missing. Karina then mentions that their son has been playing with a flute constantly. Patrick hides the flute, but it soon disappears too. In a frantic moment, Patrick realizes that Bagman might be closer than he ever imagined. When the lights flicker again and he sees strange signs, he begins to fear for his family's safety. A strange doll, wearing a cap from his childhood, shows up on his property, and soon Patrick is locked out of his own house. As he watches in terror, Bagman enters, and Patrick rushes to protect his family. The next morning, Patrick installs CCTV cameras, but the fear persists. As he reflects on his childhood, he remembers how his father once warned him about Bagman. Patrick decides to call a therapist to help him with his fears, but the doctor only suggests he needs more sleep and less stress. However, Patrick remains disturbed, feeling that the supernatural events are not just in his mind. In an attempt to escape the mounting pressure, Patrick and Karina decide to stay at a hotel for a few days, leaving their son with Karina's sister. Patrick and Karina arrive at the hotel and start talking. Karina asks him about his childhood, prompting Patrick to share a haunting memory involving his father and the mysterious Bagman. Patrick recalls how his father, noticing his fear, gave him a knife for protection, warning him that the bagman might be nearby. He was told never to lose the knife, as it was his safeguard. But now, Patrick reveals the knife is gone, and fear begins to creep back. Meanwhile, Karina's sister is at home, talking on the phone, while Karina's son sleeps peacefully. Suddenly, the lights flicker, making her uneasy. Checking on the child, she finds him safe, but then the doorbell rings. When she answers, the bagman is there. Terrified, she quickly secures the child and attempts to call for help, only to discover that nothing is working. Grabbing a knife, she hides in the closet with the child. However, the bagman finds them and attacks. In a desperate struggle, she manages to fend him off and protect the child. Soon after, Patrick, Karina, and the rescue team arrive. Karina's sister, though injured, survives the encounter. Patrick decides to move his family to his brother's house for safety. Despite reassurances from Karina that they are secure, Patrick remains vigilant, convinced the bagman is after his son. In the middle of the night, Patrick discovers that the bagman has taken his son. Rushing to his brother's room, he finds his brother and sister-in-law dead. Outside, the police have been killed as well, a massacre caused by the bagman. Determined to save his son, Patrick tracks the bagman to a cave. Inside, Patrick hears his son's voice calling for help. Following the sound, he discovers eerie nests filled with children's belongings, trophies collected by the bagman. When he opens a bag, he finds a doll that mimics his son's voice, realizing too late that he's been tricked. Enraged, he destroys the doll. Meanwhile, Karina and her sister locate and rescue the child, calling the police for help. Back in the cave, Patrick confronts the bagman, who paralyzes him with a touch and tries to stuff him into a bag. Summoning his remaining strength, Patrick grabs a broken knife and stabs the bagman. He also finds his son's flute and uses it to distract the bagman momentarily, allowing him to attempt an escape. However, the bagman overpowers him, forcing him into the bag. Patrick suffocates and dies, his body broken beyond recognition. Karina and the police arrive at the cave too late. They find the flute, but no sign of Patrick. It is then revealed that the bagman had been fixated on Patrick since childhood, targeting him, not his son. Even though Patrick had grown up, the bagman never stopped watching him. In the end, the bagman takes Patrick with him forever, concluding the story with a tragic ending.